Hey y'all fellow Kotanas, and welcome back to my channel. This little video is actually going to be a little different from what I've done in the past. And I do really want to point out that if you have not voted for this week's new react and review video for which band you want me to do a react and review to, go over and do that poll. And I also got a few other polls that I'm doing that are for a different video called Out of Left Field. So if you want to go ahead and please go do those polls, it'd be much appreciated. Now let's get into the meat of this video here. So this video is actually going to talk about the Jurassic Park 3, and I'll have another video talking about the Jurassic World Dominion ending. But this is about Jurassic Park 3's Spinosaurus versus T-Rex fight. Now, I actually was watching this movie not that long ago, and I actually broke it down for myself frame by frame and actually found the reason why the T-Rex lost this fight. And it's something that a lot of people are probably still going to go against and are probably going to dislike this video for me pointing out, but I also decided, screw it, I'm going to go frame by frame for this video as well, and let you guys know why the Spinosaurus won this fight. In this fight, the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex obviously meet head to head, and we have a roar-off between the two, as well as with Alan Grant. Always a fun little bit in that scene. I actually really have always loved that, and I have loved it ever since I saw it when it came out in IMAX, which is where I first saw the JP3. But what I want to talk about is a little deeper into the fight somewhat. It's a short fight for those who know this movie, but this particular bit, it goes a little like this. So we're in the fight, T-Rex gets a hold of Spino's neck. And yes, by proxy, that means that the T-Rex would win, right? Because of the crushing power. Not so fast, because pretty much I believe that this probably was a juvenile who didn't really know too much about fighting and didn't really have a whole lot of experience in doing so. Now, whether or not this is the same T-Rex that was a baby in the Lost World, I highly doubt that very much. But it could have been, since it was a juvenile. The other thing I want to point out is the fact that the Spinosaurus has a little bit better chance to control its gravity, meaning that it can actually get lower than what the Rex can. And a lot of you are going to point out that the T-Rex actually had very stable legs, and that is very true, but it didn't have great control going all the way to the ground, meaning where the Spino could actually go all the way down and get really, really low, like almost ground level, the T-Rex had to bend. It actually had to go like this in order to get low, which actually puts it at a disadvantage right away. The next thing I want to point out is that the T-Rex eventually had to adjust its jaws. And you see this in a frame-by-frame breakdown here, that it literally has to, you see the jaw actually open up again on the bottom and the top as it first tries to relatch onto the Spinosaurus, but then it also does it again one more time where with the lower jaw, and at that point the Spinosaurus is low and it's still moving around. Now, for those of you who don't know fighting, that is actually a very prominent thing that a coach will tell you to do. Keep moving. It's a kind of a wrestling thing here. Keep moving around. Not in. Around. Keep moving around, and while moving inward. Because the deeper you go inward to the side, the closer you'll get to breaking an opponent's hold. And that's kind of what the Spinosaurus does. Now, I'm not saying that it's a wrestler by any means.
Hello.
But I am saying that the Spinosaurus was smart enough to realize that it could get low and could get out of the jaws of the T-Rex that clearly didn't have a whole lot of fight knowledge in it. Which, again, points me to that this was a juvenile. The other thing that I want to point out here is that once the T-Rex hold is broken, it tries to go again for a thicker part of the Spinosaurus around the spine and the haunches. It fails because it's too meaty there. There's too much girth there. There's no way it can actually get a hold on the Spinosaurus. So, by proxy, the Spinosaurus actually is able to move to the other side, which then entails the T-Rex to try and ram it. This also fails because it actually helps the Spinosaurus to move around in perfect position to get its jaws around the neck of the T-Rex, as well as the hands, which the Spinosaurus has an advantage with. Which basically means that at this point, the Spinosaurus being clearly the bigger dinosaur, clearly being capable of using more than just its jaws to hold on, and having those claws as well to kind of dig in a little bit to the T-Rex to keep the hold there, it has the immediate ability to snap Rex's neck. As kind of unfortunate as it was, being a big fan of T-Rex at the time, I was a little disheartened by it, but as time has gone on, I've learned more about Spinosaurus. Now, granted, the real Spino versus JP3 Spino, two completely different things that we can't even bring in because one is fiction, the other is not. And that's another thing, is that in trying to talk about Jurassic Park 3's Spinosaurus and bring it into the reality of the Spinosaurus, you can't make the comparison because one is completely made up, the other one is real and was a living being. So, you got two very different ways, and even the Rex in the Jurassic Park franchise is different from what it would have been in its previous time and when it was around. So basically, what I'm saying here is that it actually makes perfect sense in how the fight went and in how everything broke down for the Rex. And the fact that it clearly didn't have enough battle knowledge in order to beat the Spinosaurus, the bigger opponent. Now, you take that into maybe, say, like a Rexy, we might have a different thing. And I'm going to get into that in another video when I talk about Jurassic World Dominion, another movie that is near and dear to my heart in the Jurassic franchise. So, basically what I want you to take away from this video is not that JP3 was a terrible movie, or even that the fight made 100% complete sense, because obviously the Tyrannosaurus Rex did actually have the crushing power. It's just that in the movie it could not get a good grasp in order to use that crushing power on the neck of the Spino. And while it looks like it does, the Spino was able to get low, and the Rex was actually able to, or was unfortunately lost its grip on the Spino's neck. So all of those factors factor into a T-Rex not knowing what was going on, not knowing how to defend, not knowing how to attack a bigger enemy, an enemy that clearly knew its size, an enemy that clearly knew how to attack and use what it had, its weapons, in order to take down an opponent like the Rex, and for that duration of that movie become the apex predator. So, was JP3 the best in the franchise? I have to say no. It's always been one of my favorites, if not my favorite, mainly just because of my bias of the Spinosaurus. Over time, it has become my favorite dino, with T-Rex being a very close second. Very close, if not tied with Spinosaurus. But yeah, I mean, aside from all of that, Jurassic Park 3 was actually a very intriguing movie, and it still is to me to this day. To a lot of people, it's a bad movie in the Jurassic franchise. To me, I always watch it, and I'm always happy to rewatch it again and again and again. No doubt on that at all. And so yeah, I just felt the need, the pull, the big need to create this little video here and go into explaining why this fight actually made a lot of sense, because there's been a lot of controversy over it all these years. Speaking of controversy, one more time, I'm going to plug it. Wait for the next video that I will make in the about the Jurassic franchise, which will be about Jurassic World Dominion's ending and how that one actually makes sense in how they did it, and how it actually made the movie stand out versus how it would have not have stood out with an ending with the Spinosaurus as well, or any other way. So I thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and throw a thumb up on that like button. If you want to subscribe, go ahead. That'd be very, very awesome of you. If you want to comment down below on your thoughts about JP3, if you liked it, if you hated it, whatever. If you think that this little breakdown of it was not exactly thorough and you think I may need to do another one at some point, I feel like I did a pretty good job in breaking down each and every bit of it and going through a thorough explanation of why it actually made sense and how it happened. But aside from all of that, always remember to imagine your dream, create your happiness, and live your life on the edge. And I will see you in that next episode. See ya.